think we can all agree that Triple H has helped save the WWE product when it comes to the way that he books the show. But every single booker comes with some flaws, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about how Triple H has massive flaws in the way he booked. And some people might not view them as flaws, but I think some of them are major. Now, really quickly, before we get into the video, if you guys enjoy professional wrestling content, make sure to hit that thumbs up and ring that bell for notifications after you hit the subscription button so you can see all the future videos. With that being said, what are the major flaws in the way that Triple H books his show? I'm going to go right off the bat and tell you the number one thing that he really messes up on, and that is over-relying on long-term storytelling. Now, this is a weakness, and this is also a strength when it comes to Triple H, because long-term storytelling has actually helped us a lot when it comes to the way that we look at this product. The biggest problem that I think that Triple H has is he doesn't know when to finally cut it off, right? When it comes to the Bloodline saga, many people thought that the Bloodline saga should have ended when it came to the first time that Roman Reigns and Cody faced each other. But then we got another whole year, and don't get me wrong, I thought that that was amazing television. The biggest issue is every time you watched a SmackDown, you were always waiting for the Bloodline segment to happen, because that was the most important story, and that was a story that everybody was looking forward to. It made a lot of the show feel like it was filler, right? When we had MSG the year prior, and you had the trial of Roman Reigns, and everybody thought that Jey Uso was to become the tribal chief, and then all of a sudden Roman low blows him, that felt like the peak of the show, and we still had almost an hour and a half of the show left. The biggest thing that happens is when Triple H knows his stories are good, he buckles down and he writes that thing until it literally is beaten to a bloody pulp. You see it with the Judgment Day nowadays. We've been waiting to see the breaking of this second version of the Judgment Day for a very long time now, and it feels like a lot of the backstage segments are the same thing over and over again. They're talking about the fact that Finn Balor can't win a title, Liv Morgan needed to protect her title, now they have tag titles, they're always playing 2K in the back, Dom is being a lapdog, and it feels like the same thing every single time we watch it, and it takes up a lot of the TV time when they could be using that to start other storylines. And I feel like people fall into this trap of doing the whole like let them cook. You don't need to spend 5-6 months on every single storyline. You see it right now with the New Day. When it comes to the New Day, we are literally getting their same exact promo every single time. Ever since they broke up with Big E and we thought this was gonna be one of the best heels turn ever, all they do is say, they go to this town and they go, Milwaukee, thank God that the New Day is here and you guys are lucky to be here. Oh yeah, this crowd sucks. You guys smell. Your baseball team sucks. Your football team sucks. We should be on an island somewhere vacationing, but we're stuck here. We're gonna spend 10 minutes doing this. They might have a match, and that's it. And it feels like we're getting no payoff for what was arguably one of the greatest heel turns we've seen in a long time on them turning on Big E. And it feels like he just doesn't know when to chop the head off on certain storyline. Now, we'll get back to the storyline thing in a second, but the one thing that I feel like he also kind of messed up on is he literally had us feeling that the mid-card titles were finally going to be big deals. When it came to Gunther's 666-day reign, it felt like that Intercontinental title was phenomenal. It felt like Gunther built an amazing title, but then what the heck happened to the US title from Austin Theory all the way up until LA Knight now? Like, Austin Theory felt like a joke as the champion. Then they finally took him off and had Rey Mysterio win. Then Rey Mysterio loses it to Logan Paul. Logan Paul had like 2 title defenses in what felt like an entire year, and then LA Knight finally took it off of him. They started giving LA Knight a little bit of a fun, run, and then he just magically loses it to Shinsuke, who then again had a terrible run. And with the IC title, after Gunther loses it to Sami Zayn, it felt like Sami Zayn finally got the culmination of he wanted, but then he doesn't get like a storyline of finally being that champion, and then loses it to Braun Breaker. Then he gives it to Jey Uso, who basically immediately loses it to Braun Breaker, which kind of felt like it stalled the whole like monster aspect of Braun Breaker. And now we're trying to get to a cool storyline for WrestleMania for both titles, which hopefully we get hot again with them. He's very, I guess, hot and cold would be the right way when it comes to saying the Intercontinental and US title. And it feels the same way with the women as well. Like Lyra Valkyria, sometimes you forget, is the Intercontinental Women's title, and we just get rematch after rematch after rematch. You see it with Chelsea Green. Her and Michin faced for the title like 5 different times. Lyra Valkyria has either Dakota Kai, Ivy Nile in her, rear view mirror, and every single time they just get in front of her face. And it feels like if you're gonna bring those titles in, I feel like you thought you'd have like a plan for them, right? Am I a little crazy on that? Now, this is I guess this one might be a little controversial. The tag team title division always feels like a one show division with him. It feels like now that we split up the titles, because when they were combined, it was kind of awesome with the Usos holding it. And then Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn having it felt awesome. But once the Judgment Day took the titles, it was over. Like, that was it. Like, literally, they were like not defending it and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden they lose it. We get the WrestleMania match where they split up the titles. But eventually you had the Judgment Day where you had Finn Balor and JD McDonough have the titles there. And then on the other side, when we were at DIY, it felt like DIY, Motor City Machine Guns were feuding in like what felt like an endless feud. Pretty Deadly was just there. Street Profits were mad. And DIY would just run the same storyline. And they would do the same exact gimmick and skit and stuff like that. And then Judgment Day just wasn't defending it. And War Raiders have the titles now, but there's no one really there for them outside of the Creed brothers that are built up to be, you know, real challenges for their titles. And it's like, realistically, which show has the most important tag team titles? Because the Street Profits seem to have a real storyline going on with Los Garzas and Pretty Deadly and DIY and Motor City Machine Guns, where the War Raiders are just like, let me run a vignette and let everybody remind them that they're the tag team champions. You know what I'm saying? Like, the tag team division, like, it's awesome that we have them wrestling on TV, but it feels like it's just unimportant on one show at a time. Like, one show gets a push with the title, the next one it's like, well, we'll see what we're gonna do with this next point. I feel like I need to like hammer home without anyone getting really upset about it, and it feels like the women's division lacks storylines outside of the top star. Like, you always have Rhea Ripley in a story that matters, and it's like always feels like the top story. Io Sky has always been in somewhat of a top story, whether she's in Damage Control, whether she has the title, whether she's going for the title. Same thing when it comes to the Bianca Belairs. Bailey's kind of moving down the line a little bit and stuff like that, but you have women, and Nia Jax was another one that always felt like she was in a top story, but you have a lot of women on the roster that it just feels like they're just there, right? Shayna Baszler is just there now. Zoe Stark is just there now. Candice LeRae, the women's tag team division, like you have the Munchkins, Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. Raquel is literally a sidekick to Liv Morgan, and now they're tag team champions, and it feels like they got relegated from being in the top storylines. Bayley went from having the Elimination Chamber and going for the top title at WrestleMania last year to, I don't know if she's about to tag team with Lyra Valkyria or she's going for Lyra Valkyria's title or stuff like that, because Bayley had a storyline with Roxanne and now both women are basically not even on television anymore. And it feels like Triple H is doing the Vince McMahon here, just relying on the top stars that you have and not really trying to build up the rest of the women that you have on your roster and stuff like that. He did try to throw Candice LeRae in there with Nia, but like they kind of just like made fun of her for being a sidekick. So I hope that like he figures out how to add a little more depth to the women's division, because there's more titles now, mid-card titles and the women top titles. So it's like, can we like have each one of them have stories that like matter, that they build it up a little bit? It also feels like Triple H loved to have people either return or debut without really having long-term plans for them. For example, almost every single time somebody came back from injury, or almost every single time somebody debuted from NXT or came over from AEW, it felt like they were on fire for about a month or two and then just faded into the background. You saw it when Karrion Kross came back. They had him hot for a little bit and then he died off. When they created the faction for him, the Final Testament, it felt like they were hot for a little bit. They had a win over the Wyatt Six. Now half of them are gone. Literally all we have is Karrion Kross, and Karrion Kross is just in the background. When Tommaso Ciampa came back, it felt like he was going to get a real push and he was going to be in the Intercontinental title scene, and then boom, he's irrelevant again. Johnny Gargano comes back, he wins a match or two, boom, becomes irrelevant again. Bronson Reed was very hot and cold. It felt like he was a part of storylines, gone. Then eventually he beat the crap out of Seth Rollins and it really elevated him, stuff like that, which was awesome. But it feels like when they have people debuting from NXT, or they have people like Andrade came from AEW again. They had him hot for a little bit and now he's not even on television anymore. And it's starting to feel like they're doing that a lot when it comes to either people coming up from NXT or people coming over from AEW or coming back from injury. And I hope that we just let the guys that we have cook. Like, you don't need to bring in AEW stars, or you don't need to bring up guys from NXT or girls from NXT if you're not going to really give them a push, if you're not really going to make them relevant, if you're not really going to give them real substance for longer than a month or two. Now, I don't know if this is a bonus or like a plus or a negative, but I do think that he gives a lot of stars a lot of part-time situations. He lets Roman Reigns be part-time whenever he wants. Roman Reigns can go away for 3 months, come back whenever he wants. He lets Logan Paul go away, come back. He was letting Brock Lesnar for the longest time. Vince McMahon did the same thing, go away and come back. It feels like they protect the guys that become part-timers, you know? Like, if they're gone for a little bit, they still come back and are like untouchable forces. Again, that's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if that's a flaw or a positive, because, like, you know, Roman coming back every time and still having that aura makes it like awesome. But at the same time, it's like, hey, if Roman's not going to be around a lot, can we like not have him beat a lot of the top stars? Can we not have him in the top storyline? Same thing with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar would go away, and then all of a sudden he comes back and he's feuding with the biggest guy in the company with Cody Rhodes. Logan Paul is gone for basically 200 days, wins the US title, holds it for 200 days, and now he's going to get to have a WrestleMania match against one of the best guys in the company in AJ Styles, and more than likely going to win that match, you know? So it's one of those things where I feel like he does protect a lot of the part-timers, which I feel like is a negative, but it is also awesome that he does give a lot of these guys the opportunity to still be protected. I don't know if that's like a... You guys let me know that. And I also think he has this weird obsession of factions. And I think it's because he was in factions that were super relevant when it came to DX and it came to Evolution. But it feels like he relies on factions a little too much and tries to make way too many factions. Like, he had the Judgment Day, he had the Bloodline, he had the New Bloodline, he had Damage Control, he had the Final Testament, American Alpha, Alpha Academy, American Made. And it feels like there's guys and girls in there that often get overshadowed by other people in the group. Like, Finn Balor should have won some kind of singles title in the past 2 years, but it felt like he ended up getting overshadowed by Damian Priest when it came to Money in the Bank. Now it feels like he's being overshadowed by Dominic Mysterio, and it feels like Finn Balor doesn't get a real opportunity. When it came to Damage Control, everybody wanted either Bayley or Io Sky to be a champion. Both of them ended up doing it, but at the same time, everybody always said Dakota Kai should have had a title, Kairi Sane should have had a title, Asuka should have been going for a title again. When it came to Bloodline, everybody wanted Jey Uso to break out. Eventually, when the Bloodline broke up, you know, you had Jey Uso breaking out. You wanted Jimmy Uso to have something. Now people are talking about, you know, Jacob Fatu is being held back by being with Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. So it's like this little over-reliance, and I do believe he does it so we can get breakout stars. I do believe he does it so we can see people that other people want, just so they're not alone and they have the help of others to help build it. But I do believe he has this a little weird obsession when it comes to creating the factions, and I hope he just let a lot more of these single stars just be single stars and build stories. Like, when Rey Fenix comes, I hope they don't automatically put together Rey Fenix and Penta and have them do stuff. Whenever Aleister Black comes back, I hope they don't just throw him into like the Judgment Day or throw him into a faction and let him do his own thing. My final thoughts on it are Triple H is significantly a better booker than Vince McMahon was in the past era, right? So it's something that, like, even with the flaws that come with his booking, I do believe long-term storytelling is the way to go. I believe it balances TV shows better. I believe it gives us fans something to be invested in. It gives every PLE, you know, a connection. It doesn't feel like WrestleMania, you have a storyline, and in Backlash, you have to make 50 new storylines like it did with Vince McMahon. Like, with Vince McMahon, you can have Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes be the biggest story at WrestleMania, and Cody Rhodes win, and then all of a sudden Cody Rhodes lose the title to Chad Gable because he just wants to see Chad Gable as a champion. And I believe he has restored the prestige to a lot of the titles that matter. It does feel like the WWE title has significance, which, you know, I didn't want to bring this into the negatives, but I do think the long title reigns do need to be cut down a little bit. We are starting to see that with the World Heavyweight title a little bit. I do hope that more people get a chance to hold the top prizes, and he doesn't have to just see guys lose it, PLEs, and hold the title for 600 days. So I do hope we go that way, but I do hope he does be a little more consistent with the rest of the stuff that we talked about in this video. And I want to know from you guys, what do you think are the major flaws of Triple H's booking, and what do you think he should improve on? And what do you really like about his booking? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications. I'm Alan Owens. This is much love from me to you guys. Peace.